Hello everyone. With all my recent videos on coups, I see that some of you who have been following me have been going back and retrieving my analysis in the past when I had predicted a coup coming true. A good example of this would be the coup attempt in Turkey in July 2016. 9 to 10 months before that, I went on to Lou Rockwell's show on predicting a coup. And at the time, everybody was saying, what is she talking about? Anyhow, on Twitter, I see many of you are digging up some of these old interviews I had given on the coming coup in Turkey almost a year before it took place. In our recent series dealing with the current coup we have been facing here in the United States, I have been engaged in predictions as well. Again, these predictions being based on analysis, based on facts, based on context, history. It's not sitting here and then doing some statistical chance out of nowhere and providing you with that kind of information, because that's not what I do. I am an analyst. One of the predictions I made and I forecasted, and this was about 2 weeks ago, I said the coup makers have several fronts with these riots. And it's not only the African American Black communities here in the United States. I said how they are working on other minority communities, whether through some staged false flag incidents, whether through some of the propaganda they are dealing behind the scenes. They were working on Latino communities here in the United States, and also the Muslim communities here in the United States. Well, lo and behold, I just saw today some of my followers, viewers, they were tweeting the coming uprising within the Latin communities, and the fact that now certain frontiers within the Latin communities here in the United States are saying, yes, we have to have these riots as well. These are the provocateurs. We know who is staging these. We know who is directing these. Anyhow, my point being that is coming true as well. With that said, you know, it is one thing for me to provide you with analysis, putting these reports, telling you that this is a coup, the types of things they will do, the types of things they have done in previous coups. But hey, really, other than some general knowledge, what good would come out of something like that, right? It needs to go further. Why am I putting these series on coups? It's not only to tell you or convince you, persuade you that yes, we are currently facing a coup. It is much more than that. It is much more than that. In fact, the reason I'm doing this is so that with this knowledge, by putting this knowledge into a good use, in practical terms, we preempt their moves. And by doing that, by doing so, we defeat their coups. Now, I want to talk about some of the elements that are on our side, what we can do with this information. I'm just going to go over them generally, but then I will have other episodes, other segments talking about these steps more in details. Okay, starting with raising awareness. Why do we raise awareness? When I'm forecasting here based on facts, based on my skills, based on my previous experiences, based on knowing the history, this information is being given to you, is being put out there so that we raise awareness among other people. So my viewers, you here, let other people know. For example, saying this about they are working on the Latino communities and they are targeting them, they are trying to provoke them. Well, this was 2 weeks ago. Why did I put this information out there? Not only to let you know, but also to let our Latin communities here in the United States know, by having you letting other people know. So when it pops, okay, as it did, you say, yes, you see, this is by design. Yes, we have been expecting this. Yes, we have been on record warning people that this is one of the things they are gonna be doing, okay? In some cases, this may end up being preventive, what people call preemptive strike, okay? Because there are so many people, awake people within the Latino communities here in the United States who don't want to be used, who don't want to be exploited, who, by listening to these real news, real information, real analysis, by doing so, they know that they're going to be used, exploited, and then damaged, that they will be left to pay the price. Look what's happening with the African American communities. A few days ago, a maintenance person showed up here. He was a black man, African American. And I opened the door, and I'm in a rental house, a temporary rental. And we had this, I would say, 15 seconds of, he had this frightened look, and he was looking at me, and I knew exactly what he was waiting for. He was looking at me, trying to see what kind of reaction I'm gonna give by opening the door based on all the latest incidents, being in this affluent community here in Naples, and what kind of treatment I'm gonna give him, okay? So I smiled, and then he loosened up. He smiled. He came in. In fact, I had some news broadcast on my husband's laptop, so that was playing, talking about these things. And he told me, he said, look how much damage they are inflicting upon us. Look what they are doing to the rest of us. The majority of us hate what they are doing. They are not standing for the black communities in the United States. So we engage in this really solid, good discussion. But what I'm trying to tell you is Latin communities here, okay, they understand, many of them understand this. By putting these analysis, by putting these warnings, by putting these wake-up calls, we are making, sometimes we may make their tactics basically nullified, because they will say, oh yeah, this is, they are already expecting this, we're not gonna do this. Or, you know, at least it will make it more difficult for them. So that's one of the advantages of putting these advanced warnings that I'm doing, I'm engaging in advance, okay? Raising the flags, okay? Blowing the whistle, if you want to put it in those terms, and get ready for it so we can shield ourselves, okay? We can help other communities around us to guard against their tactics. So raising awareness is extremely important. The other thing I'm going to talk about, I'm hoping that this microphone is working as I'm talking here. And sorry if there is some kind of a problem, glitches here. It was kind of snagged there. The other thing I want to bring up briefly, and I will talk about that later, is we, within our organized activist communities, we always are worried about infiltrators, because it's a given, okay? No matter what, if the activism is real, okay? If the activism is a threat to the establishment, to the deep state, one of the first things they do is, and it's very easy to do, to send in infiltrators, agitators, okay? These infiltrators, they are not there only to take information from us to them, because hey, they can gather all this information through the NSA, through all these surveillance tactics that they are implementing, they have been implementing over us, on us, since 9/11, September 11 attacks. It's also to divide the communities. They use infiltrators to do that. They use the infiltrators to cause agitation so that it would make the movement, whether it's the anti-war movement, whether it's like our movement, anti-coup movement, so that there won't be any unity, there won't be any cohesiveness. So by that, what I mean is to get you weaker. So basically your movement won't be able to really inflict any kind of damage to their plans. Now, that works both ways. They refer to it as a double-edged sword. Why? How? Well, there are insiders that within our government agencies, whether it's the military units, whether it's within the FBI, whether it's within the CIA, whether it's within certain Justice Department in certain states, there are people inside their cells who are infiltrating them, okay? And I know there are some. I have a very solid, sound network of former and current intelligence, law enforcement related people, contacts, sources. So they are totally infiltrated as well. You think they are not paranoid about that? And I always, every chance I get, I encourage those insiders to remain insiders. You know what I'm talking about here, right? Right. Well, they may have their infiltrators, but we have people who are pro-us, the people who are still inside there. And there are some of them, they haven't been identified. And the coup makers are always nervous about that. That's one of the wild cards that they always take into consideration when they are calculating, measuring, forecasting their the outcome of their coup-related operations. So that's on our side. So don't forget, it's a double-edged sword. Like, look at my community at Patreon. And what it takes is putting 50 cents, $1, whatever, anybody can get in. And we are discussing things. Well, we can't get paranoid to a point where we are so afraid we have to have some encrypted method of communications. First of all, let me put it this way. I have so many insiders from the NSA, and I have so many former high-level NSA people as contacts. They say to me, and I trust what they say, I'm talking about high-level NSA, there are no safe encrypted software for communication. None, zilch, zero. Anytime one pops up, immediately they have a way of either decode it or they go and co-opt the people who created that program in the first place, and they give them cushy jobs and they say, come on, work with us because look, you can do a lot. Sometimes they threaten them. But what I'm trying to say is we can get so paranoid, rightfully so, okay? I'm not saying they are not doing it to us, say, well, we can't talk to each other because who knows how many infiltrators are there. We can't go and organize these activities or these particular counter-coup operations because they are going to infiltrate us. That's going to stop us from doing anything. Just accept the fact that, yes, there will be many infiltrators within any of these communities, organized activists who want to counter the coup. That's one. And most importantly, there will be many agitators, okay? I know so many agitators who are YouTubers right now, okay? They are identifying themselves as independent alternative media personalities. And I can tell you, based on first-hand information, I know they are agitators and infiltrators. I have been in this field for a long time. And sometimes when I have doubt, I ask my sources, I reach out, okay? Okay, let me give you an example within the people who are trying to, rightfully so, organize against this mandatory COVID vaccine, right? Well, what they do is they do one program after another and they mix in all sorts of other vaccines related issues, okay? there are good vaccinations, there are bad vaccinations, there are some that hasn't been even tested enough. People need to submit to these things with information. Informed consent is important. And yes, there are so many of them by big pharma that we should guard against, but that's beside the point. What they are doing is they take this anti-coup activism, okay, and by bringing in all the other elements of vaccines and anti-vaccines and pro-vaccines, what they do is they take people's attention away from the immediate coup, which is in effect, into getting divided and subdivided and fighting and colluding over you are a vaxxer, you are an anti-vaxxer, you are a semi-vaxxer. Watch out for these people, okay? First of all, question, how do they find the time to sit down and put all these videos and putting all these things, why they are doing it, where is their funding coming from, what is their intentions, what is their background? Look into those things, okay? This is a tactic to agitate and divide, and that makes their coup plans more easier, okay? It's basically dividing the activist units into subgroups and then from there to additional subgroups, so there is no cohesive unity in countering their coups. The same thing is true with things like alternative payment system, money, whether it's the Bitcoin, whether it's the crap coin, whether it's the X coin. I am not putting that down. I am not someone who's advocating for fiat money. For years and years, I followed all the analysis, all the seminars on fiat money and how our central bank is completely colluded, okay, has been colluding with the deep state, and how our Federal Reserve, it's like a rogue deep state elements in many ways. So I don't disagree with those general notions, okay, but during this period, when you have immediate dangers, trying to divide the community based on X coin versus Y coin, Z coin versus this, number one, is divisive, all right? Number two, currently one of the goals that the deep state has to do with weakening the US dollar, okay? And I can guarantee you that that is happening. Now, if you're an export-based or a tourism-based country, which we are not really, that's a different matter because they want to keep their currency value low, so it makes it more conducive for them to export, to sell their goods to other nations or bring in more tourists, because when British tourists goes to Greece or Turkey, they say, well, my pound stretches much further here, therefore I'm going to go to Greece or Italy or Turkey to spend my vacation. That's just a general thing. I may be simplifying it for you here, but because that's not my point. My point is, as part of this coup plan, they have been targeting our economy, obviously, with COVID-19, the COVID shenanigan, we already know that. But as part of that plan, a big objective for them is weak, destroyed US dollar. They celebrate every time some other country is coming with alternative. They are celebrating this during this time, during this period, okay? By cheering for that, we are siding with the coup makers. Do you understand what I'm trying to get at? As bad as it is, as corrupt as it is, right now, and when I say right now, I'm not talking about the years to come. I'm talking about this 3, 4, 5 months period, okay? Our Benjamin Franklin, our dollar, okay, needs to be supported, all right, temporarily. Then we can go back and hit them. Audit the Federal Reserve, do this, do that. I'm with you on all that. But right now, it's not the time to actually turn our back to our own currency system, okay? Because these coup elements, the coup makers, this deep state is an international group, okay? It's not some deep state, American deep state inflicting and planning this coup against us. Okay, they have Germany, there's a consortium of deep states of various nations within EU, okay? also US, who are engaged in that. So don't fall for the trap they are setting, trying to sell you on Ripple or Bitcoin and saying go poo on US dollars. Let's do all that after we pass the bridge. When we cross the bridge, when we go to the other side after November, let's go do whatever you want to do on it, on that dollar bill. But please, right now, don't fall victims, okay, to their, to the game they have set up. That was another thing. And another important thing I want to bring up in countering the coup, this is why I have been forecasting to preempt and defeat their coup. Not that we all know, so that 3 months, 5 months down the road, a few people are gonna come and say, bravo, Sibel, you were so right. Man, this woman is such a clairvoyant. She predicts things, bam, they come true. What good does it do, okay? So I predicted, and based on my sound analysis, the coming coup, the only person in this world, okay, of the 8 billion who has done it. Nobody else came and said that there's going to be a coup. But what I'm trying to say is that may have helped some people in Turkey to prepare for it. I don't know. But if something good, something actionable doesn't come from it, okay, so what? People do standing ovation and then say, great, you knew it, and now we're all screwed. That hasn't done us any good. The reason I'm bringing this up is with this community, my Newsbud community, my Patreon community, allowing me doing this, I am not only blowing the whistle here, I'm not only waving the flags here, I'm not only being a kind of clairvoyant telling you what to expect, being an analyst. The reason I'm doing this is I want us to unite. I want us to put this awareness in good use. Now, the time is of essence right now, right? Right now, do this and take actionable measures. Get ready. It starts with our psyche here. Don't think it's a done game. Don't think, oh, it's us versus them, the big. First, it starts with the psyche. Second, it starts with networking, unity. And this is my goal. This is what I want to accomplish. Not only analyze it, forecast it, but also provide us with possible ways to preempt it, to preempt some of their staged events, and altogether to defeat their coup. A quick note on my Patreon community. It's growing beautifully. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of my Patreon community. And we have some great discussion groups there. And I have promised them to find a way within my Patreon community to establish subgroups. Why? Because I have activists from Arizona, per my suggestion, organizing, saying, okay, I will start a chapter for Arizona against this coup. I have someone from Tennessee who has volunteered. I have someone from Central California and someone from Virginia. So I have this community they are doing, these members, what I'm begging and what I'm asking us to do. Take this information, stand up and unite and start organizing, okay? Start organizing and taking actions. No action is too little. Every single action, good, sound, rational, cohesive action counts, okay? Don't belittle ourselves. Just remember, we have strength, we have advantages, okay? They have their weaknesses. Let's exploit their weaknesses. And with all that said, I have a live thread right now at Patreon on this Tulsa rally in Oklahoma and what that's going to transpire and what's going to come up. This is very important. This can actually become very crucial. We need to follow this closely, and I wanted us to be in touch. In fact, I have a few members who are there today. They have family members who are sending them real-time developments news this evening. So if you come to our Patreon community, you will see the live thread. You're welcome to join us. Again, I want to thank both my communities, Newsbud and Patreon. It takes only 5-10 seconds, and you can throw whatever it is you can, whether it's $1 or $10 or $1,000 or $5. It doesn't make any difference. You're gonna be part of this community. These video series, these analysis, these action alerts, these action campaigns, all this work that we have been doing, all the stuff that I have been presenting to you have been made possible by you. So please take the 5-10 seconds. I provide the link here in the description side of this YouTube post with the link to my Patreon. It takes 5-10 seconds, and throw in whatever you can to support this amazing community and allow me to produce and keep producing these analysis and video series. But also, I want you to join this community and sub-communities and start taking action. Let's translate all this information, sound analysis, into action to preempt and to defeat their coup. We will, we can, of course, together we can. This is Sibel Edmonds, connecting from Naples, Florida, and I'll be with you soon. Thank you.